At St. Cloud State University, athletics are more than just games. They're an essential part of the Husky experience. From D1 hockey games to championship-winning wrestling, volleyball, and more, there's Husky pride in every corner of campus. Whether you're on the field, in the stands, or cheering from the student section, you're a part of something big. And the best part? SCSU is close to home, affordable, and packed with community that's got your back, in class and on the court. Come see what it means to be a Husky. Schedule your campus tour today at St. Cloud State University, the home of the Huskies.
What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life, or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello!
Ah! I'm back, baby! I'm back!
You know what, Trent? Guess what?
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. The boys are... What's the band? Name the band.
The band is...
Come on. You can do it. It's a 70s band.
Well, hang on.
Here's a clue.
Yeah, no,
are you familiar with Deadwood? The streets of Deadwood, South Dakota? There you go.
Yeah.
Did Deadwood give it away?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
It didn't. I just was like, it's the voice. I had to think of my other Thin Lizzy songs.
Because there's a sports gambling place. I think they call those casinos in Deadwood called Tin Lizzy.
Really?
So I have never cared to Google or go up to anybody when I've been to Tin Lizzy twice in my life to ask, hey, where did you come up with a name? That's pretty cool. But,
I'm
going to guess.
I'm
Big
gonna
Thin Lizzy
assume-
fan.
Yeah. 100%.
That was the Canaries intro song when they were introducing the players out of the dugout, the starting lineups for years. And a couple people out there were really bummed when finally, after 20 years, they decided to go a new route and,
what is it now?
To play something that came after 1977.
And what is it now?
Da da na 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 da na 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 na.
Oh, my
God.
God. That hype song?
Yeah.
That, 90s jock jam song?
Is that 90s?
It's something like that.
Well,
yeah.
That's how much more recent it is than Thin Lizzy. Anyway, Canaries, by the way, back in town. The boys will be back in town.
The boys will be back in town. It's been a minute, too.
A week from today, Thursday, July 17th, they'll have 10 games in a row in the stretch of 11 days, which will make up for the seemingly month that they've been out of town. They've won. They had won 5 in a row until yesterday. By the way, it's Thirsty Thursday. John Gaskins with Trent Singer at Craven.
Sure.
I've got a watermelon carbless. You're drinking water out of your Total Drag
I got
thermos.
My Hydro Flask. Got Tom Waits on here.
Yeah.
Spectrum Record Lounge, too.
Go.
Kate Gerardo. We got a Brett the Hitman Hart.
Yeah.
We got some Dead Guys on a Mountain.
Yeah, that'd be Mount Rushmore.
And I believe that's...
Keith Richards?
I can't remember who
It's
it
an
is.
old guy in a cowboy hat.
I had a spot for a
cigarette.
sticker and had an extra one. I think it's one of the old Francis Ford Coppola. I think is who it is. I don't know.
Hey, our guest today is Nate Malchow, future South Dakota High School basketball and South Dakota Sports Hall of Famer. Accomplished a lot. 3 state titles by the age of 37, and then he gave it all up to be the athletic director at Sioux Falls, Washington. He was the girls' coach there. Notable battle with cancer. We spend a lot of time on that. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but he packed a lot into basically 25 years of playing and coaching basketball before a larger role and 4 small kids, and just a really good dude, well-known dude around town. And so Nate Malchow's story is the guest segment for today.
Forgive me for asking, where did he play?
He played at Aberdeen Central.
Okay.
He's an Aberdeen kid. His dad was a state champion for Aberdeen Central, and a South Dakota High School Sports Hall of Famer.
Very cool.
As a player. So he had 3 brothers. He played with Josh Heupel in high school at Aberdeen Central.
How about that?
For basketball.
Another Aberdeen guy?
Another Aberdeen guy. He's got a story about getting schooled by the 97 Golden Gopher Final Four team at some camp in the Twin Cities one summer when he was in college. 6'8" guy, he got taken to the woodshed by some of the Gophers.
That's got to be a fun interview.
Final Four banner is still buried somewhere in the bowels of Williams Arena because they had a tutor do some of the tests for them. Oh, the shame! Standard practice now in college athletics. Well, today it's July 9th, and as Matt Zimmer said a couple days ago, we're turning the page to football. I mean, we're American football. I mean, everybody else is. I look on the TVs here.
It's still baseball season.
Well, yes, it is still baseball
We haven't
season.
even got to the All-Star break.
Well, the Twins and the Canaries are almost forcing us to talk a little baseball on this show in the summer. We'll get to that as well. They're both on fire right now. They both look like contenders in their divisions. I think the Canaries more than the Twins, given the track record of the last couple of years under Mike Meyer. But, yeah, I mean, you look at the TVs here in a place like Craven, which is where we're doing the show from today, the World Cup party home of Sioux Falls. Wah, wah. But you see the Big 12 football media days, and everybody else is going to be taking their turns in the next few days. Mountain West with North Dakota State next week. They'll be the darlings, the belles of the ball in Vegas.
Yep.
And we're right here in Sioux Falls. We're going to have Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day, and
Second year in a row. 2 years.
Yeah, that's in person.
In person,
It was a remote thing. Now it's in person. It'll be in the Pentagon, and we're going to have it. We're going to cover the bejesus out of it. Midwest Sports Plus, the app, will have it live. We're going to interview everybody from every team that's there all day long. That's just what we're going to do. We're going to carry it live on the Midwest Sports Plus app. You can find it at SiouxFallsLive.com. And you can find it on KSFL TV, over-the-air television, station that's always been there. Maybe you didn't know it. Channel 36. Over the air, channel 616 Midco, starting at 9 a.m. I don't know how long it's going to go. I think 3 p.m., but all day long.
I'll be out of town.
Thank you. You will not be there. But it will be the Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day for us, and be logging a lot of chats for happy hour that will help make up for the fact that sadly you will not be here, at least next Thursday.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people appreciate that content a little bit more anyways.
Well, let's get ready for it.
Yeah.
By asking the questions, even though you're not going to be there. I know you love your Missouri Valley Football Conference football. Of course, we'll lock in here on the Jacks and then the Yotes, being that we're based in South Dakota. What are you most looking forward to hearing about we'll start with the Jacks, who are probably going to be the favorites to win. Matt Zimmer and I covered it on Tuesday. North Dakota State, no longer in the league. That's still the biggest storyline at Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day and all year long. Who isn't there? It's going to be impossible not to notice. It's going to make it a clearer path for everybody else to win a title, both in the league and the national title. But somebody's got to win it. The Jacks will probably be favored. They're going to step up to the microphone. What would you like to hear from Dan Jackson or Chase Mason?
Well, it's funny you say that, too, because that is like the overarching storyline is that there is no more North Dakota State. And I think for the Jacks' perspective, the question now is, with the target on your back, what is that, how do you handle that? I don't know if it changes anything, and I'm sure a lot of them will say that it's kind of business as usual and we're focusing on ourselves sort of thing. But there is some of that there, right? And I think it's impossible to avoid it. They're going to be the preseason favorites. I don't think there's much question. I think if there's, I'd be really surprised if it's anybody else. I really will. Youngstown State, maybe.
I mean, Youngstown State certainly has the returning best player in the nation. At least that's what the Walter Payton Award is supposed to award. Yeah. And Bo Brungard is returning while Cole Payton from NDSU isn't. And even if he were, he wouldn't be in the league.
Yep.
So they've got the best player, and it's at the most important position. So they should be a major factor. And those two teams are going to play early in the season. And so, that game could swing the breadth of the conference standings.
Yeah.
As Matt said on Tuesday, it feels like SDSU is the predominant number one. Yes, because of Chase Mason. Yes, because they were 7-0 and number 2 in the country and beat the eventual national champion Montana State in their house. And that all came crashing down once Chase Mason got hurt. And once Chase Mason came back, they were able to score a huge win with Jack Henry over UND just to get in the playoffs. And then Mason and the Jacks were gangbusters in the snow against New Hampshire. Made it a 2.5-quarter game in Montana against the Grizz. But that's the feeling, is that Chase Van Tol was hurt down the stretch of that season. He was becoming their best defensive player. They're loaded at wide receiver. It could be an aerial assault with Eric Eidsness calling the plays. There's just maybe we're in our bubble, and it's proximity bias. I don't know.
I think one of the big questions too is your depth was so tested last season.
Yep.
I think, how did you go about in the offseason addressing that? You know what I mean, and getting answers to that, because that was truly what. When they ran into trouble, it was because of just injuries.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, they were so shorthanded. They were without their quarterback, and putting in some guys who were pretty unproven at that position who managed. I think they did pretty well considering the circumstances. They dropped some games they shouldn't have, absolutely. But they kind of figured things out and figured out the offense with a kind of a different identity because they had to change things up without Chase Mason. And so I'm curious to know about what the depth looks like. Have there been strides made, in that regard? Because they certainly can't have that again if they're going to be the favorites going into this season. If they want to continue and uphold that, they're going to need to be a team that can weather some of those injuries.
I think the answer you're going to get is, the depth's awesome.
Right.
We developed a lot of it when the Jacks were at their very best.
And I think they did, too. I think that experience allowed them to grow.
Yeah.
And those are other questions I have, too. How much, were those low moments from last season, from that 25 season, how much did those help build this team into what they are now?
When the Jacks were at their very best, 5 teams in a row, spring of 21, fall of 21, 22, 23, 24. You didn't just have Mark Gronowski as your quarterback most of that time. Chris Oladok in the Gronowski injury season. You had incredible depth on the offensive and defensive lines. It starts up front, and especially on that defense when you can just rotate guys in and out while the other team's offensive line. And I think that is why South Dakota State, even though quote-unquote down year last year with 9-5, is probably the favorite, not just from us, from everybody else who votes in the Valley, is because they were easily, far and away, the best or second best team in that league for several years, and so generally have the most or second most talent with North Dakota State, and you just kind of pencil that in again, and they take their football seriously. There's investment in the product, which there isn't as much at Youngstown State, Illinois State, even UND, and certainly Northern Iowa, Murray State, Indiana State, Southern Illinois. It's like because they should.
Yeah.
That's why. But it's about this year, right? And so the depth thing for sure. I guess what I want to know is, how do you prevent the collapse from last year? Because it was mainly injury driven, starting with Chase Mason, and there was Chase Van Tol, and there were a couple of others that were very important pieces. But every team gets a little bit hurt.
Yeah.
It gets a lot worse when your quarterback is hurt, and then you have there just wasn't enough behind Chase Mason. Jack Henry developed by his fourth game, or his fifth game, which was against UND. But it was really tough sailing, and they had to do a lot of things to kind of conceal and hide and work around an inexperienced, not ready quarterback. So the number 2 quarterback battle should be of higher interest in Brookings this year, because Chase Mason has an injury history. If he's healthy and full throttle, can't wait to see what that freak produces this year. But he's been injured a lot in his career, and so starting at quarterback, but certainly across the board, not just personnel-wise, what do you do if you're Dan Jackson and all of a sudden either you have a blowout loss or you have a key injury or two, and things look like because they fell apart. How do you prevent falling apart from happening? Are there measures he took between year 1 and year 2 as a head coach where he said he learned a lot? What are those things?
Well, and that goes into depth too, right? And him being in his second year, hopefully establish a little bit more of that depth just through recruiting this offseason. A couple position groups I'm really interested in learning more about. That wide receiver group is really fascinating. I think there's a lot of potential there. The ceiling's really high. Curious to know kind of where guys stand, right? Who's going to be filling in those spots? And then on the other side of the ball, one of the weaker position groups from last season was the defensive backs. And, has that been addressed? Have you gone out and feel like you found the guys that are going to be able to fill those spots? Of course, they're all going to say yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what are you seeing that they're doing better, right?
Yeah.
Like expounding on that a little bit is kind of what I want to see. So those are two main position groups that I'm really curious about. I love their receiving core on paper. I mean, I really do. I'm just really curious. A lot of these guys don't have a lot of experience too, and so that's going to be a big question mark. But I know they're hungry.
Well, Lofton Ogroski, that's another player. I mean,
Yes.
he was, he really was. Him and Chase were two of the biggest reasons they were able to beat Montana State, and his injury came earlier than Chase's, but the offense was already starting to sputter a little bit.
Yep.
Certainly lacked big play explosion once Lofton Ogroski was hurt. Well, he's going to be back as well. And then we're very curious at running back.
Yep.
You had Lofbridge last year, certainly what could have been with Nate White. Lofbridge just wasn't a home run hitter, and they would like to have one to diversify the offense, establish the run game better, to set up a more explosive downfield passing game. And you're right. This is a fun topic as we get ready for the media day and just get excited talking football. But the question was, what are we looking to hear from them? But our answers are more of just like, what are we looking forward to seeing? Because, again, we're excited to talk football with these guys. Everybody's undefeated. They're going to be extremely positive.
Indiana State's going to be excited about the season.
Yes, they will.
Murray State's going to be ready to go.
This is the year they make the leap, right? So I don't know if I have to play Dan Patrick. I saw Dan Patrick today with Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings.
I couldn't
head
find this.
coach.
You told me about it. I couldn't find it.
I don't know. Well,
Mentioned it
that was a
before the
couple
show.
hours ago. By early afternoon, it might be up on YouTube. But find it wherever you can, especially if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, because he's in the same situation, right? Training camp's about to start, but they're at this celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe, and everybody's kicked back and relaxed. You got the mountains in Lake Tahoe behind you, and but Dan Patrick, just did the basic question about, well, where do things stand? How are you approaching Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy? Kevin O'Connell gave the whole, it's an open competition, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then Dan just said, there were only about 5 cliches in 2 minutes there. About 5. Paulie, how many cliches? Paulie Paps, the producer's like, no, there were 5. And then he pointed, and then Kevin O'Connell, good guy, took it well. And he said, well, Dan, how would you answer that question? And so Dan Patrick started with a couple cliches and then said, but yeah, by the time Kyler Murray hits the field, he's going to be rocking and rolling. And this offense indoors with Justin Jefferson, we are probably going to make it to the Super Bowl with Kyler Murray.
I'm sorry
this
to the
year.
2 J.J. McCarthy fans listening right now.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray will be the Week 1 starter.
And so Dan Patrick and Kevin O'Connell's just shaking his head and puts his arms up in the air, and so that was that was pretty good. But yeah, we don't.
You're gonna get that though. I mean,
yeah,
it's how it is this time of the season.
It's our job.
It's
our job
100%.
to ask good questions, but also to maybe find a golden nugget underneath the heap of cliches that we're going to get.
Yep.
So
they all
we'll
keep
see.
it pretty tight to the vest too. Right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna reveal too much right now.
No, but everybody's pretty excited.
Of course.
From the Coyotes.
Yes.
What do you want to hear from Matt? I mean, this is another new head coach, third coach in 3 years. I really enjoyed. I actually listened back to my chat with Matt Vitzthum on April 15th, just when they had started spring football, and he had been operating as the new head coach for about 3 months. Really likable guy. Was the co-offensive coordinator, but the one that didn't call the plays last year, and got kind of a view more side alongside Travis Johansson, not knowing that Travis was going to leave to become Rutgers' defensive coordinator. He would be the next head coach. But he said kind of not calling the plays gave him a chance to observe things and learn some things from Travis. And anyway, he's the head coach now. And what are you most interested in hearing from him and whoever the Yotes bring?
Well, it's I want to go back to going into last season, right? New coach, and they're quarterfinalists. To be able to pull off the season they did, I think was impressive in and of itself, especially the way they started. We've talked plenty about that last year, at that Lamar game, and then kind of after that, they really seemed to kind of jumpstart things offensively, kind of figure out their identity. LJ Phillips was obviously the cog on that team and really, really leaned on a lot. But here we are again. They're kind of back at square one, right, with a new coach. Travis Johansson brought this up multiple times during that postseason run. At the end of that postseason run, they were the only team in FCS to get to the quarterfinals. I believe it's 3 years in a row, correct? Mm-hmm. 3 or 4. And that's impressive. Now, can you do that again, right? Like this is not going to be easy with what they're losing. It all starts at the quarterback position. I mean, that's the big question here. What's that look like right now? Because you're losing a guy who was there for he was USD football for the last few years. Kind of the identity of that team.
Absolutely.
The heartbeat of that team. And so I think that's your big question going into this season. How does Charles Pierre look, right? Because here we have a really good running back coming off injury too. And I know they've got to be excited about what they have with him. Yeah,
I actually went back and listened to the chat we had with Charles Pierre because we posted it on Monday in our special 4th of July extended weekend All-America football show with 2 All-Americans, Quentin Christensen from the Jacks, Charles Pierre from the Yotes. This is a guy whose dad played and set the rushing record at Florida Atlantic in the Miami area. And so great pedigree. Just grew up in Orlando, just a dude. Guy who was a natural-born running back talent, motivated, driven, trained well but not overtrained, overburdened by his father, lifted a lot of weights. But his dad made him wait until high school for him to start lifting weights, and then he wanted to outlift his dad. And so tore his ACL, and that running back, that's a spot where you're most likely to get hurt and most likely to have a short career. And now he's gone through it, and he watched LJ Phillips just rack it up last year. I hope he's coming. At this moment on Thursday, I don't know if he will, but I really want to hear from him. Yeah. He's who I am most interested in hearing from, simply because he was the Missouri Valley rushing champion 2 years ago when they made the semifinals. He was primed for a huge season, and he had that all taken away from him in Game 2. And now, most of these guys just talk about how driven they were throughout the whole rehab process. But in the spring, when I listened back to that Fitztham interview here on Happy Hour, it was very much, Charles, isn't quite sure what he's ready to do yet when it comes to planting the foot and working around that injury. He wasn't 100% recovered, but he was practicing. So now what? The other thing I find fascinating, and sure, I want to hear about it, is Keandre Logan Jones. He'll be like he was supposed to be last year. He was hurt some of last year. He's more of the speed guy, more of the running back you can use out of the backfield, throwing him little short passes and screens.
The home run threat.
And so you got thunder and lightning there. Yep. And, I can't, again, they're just going to tell us that they're feeling great and they're ready for a great season.
But it all goes back to getting them the ball, right? Yeah. And so I'm really curious about the quarterback position. That's a huge one. I will say this. The more and more I look and have seen, just through some stuff online about what they've done recruiting-wise this offseason, and their 27 class, it's really solid. Yeah. Got a few South Dakota guys on there, a lot of Iowa guys. I think they got the right guy leading the ship. We're going to learn a lot more when this season gets going about Matt Fitztham, but I've seen him ranked really low in some of these Missouri Valley preseason polls that people have been putting out. I saw him
Zimmer had him at 6.
I saw him at 6. I don't know. I mean, I know it's a really tough conference. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Yotes can overperform a 5th or 6th spot easily. And I think they will. I think they're going to be a playoff team, and I'm really, really curious to see how they do. There is a lot of questions. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But with Charles Pierre, they're going to be an identity. That's going to be their identity, is running the ball, and it obviously, you look at their run game coordination last year. I mean, they were, LJ Phillips. It was like no secret what they wanted to do, and yet here he was getting 200 yards plus every other game, right? finished the season with almost 2,000, I mean,
yes,
I think they can do it again.
They can, but what interesting thing that I think a lot of people forget, you were out there in Montana for their last game in the quarterfinals, but Vitztham just said that L.J. Phillips was totally maxed out and spent.
Yeah.
The wheels came off as far as his.
Well, he fumbled that ball early on, which was very.
Yeah.
I mean, we hadn't seen that in a while.
I can't remember the term he used, but he said basically he had maxed out partly because of the lack of depth at running back, because of Pierre and Keandre
100%.
Logan Jones, their top two running backs coming into the year, were hurt. So you need depth at that spot.
Wide receiver, big question there with Lorenzo out. I mean,
Yeah.
Where'd he end up going?
They're excited about Tyson Bose.
Louisville? Where'd he go?
He went to Cincinnati.
That's
Lorenzo Fenner's at Cincinnati. By the way, on the defensive side, which we haven't brought up, which was really, I mean, all respect, I mean, Aiden Bauman had some big moments last year.
I go back to that Mercer game.
The defense was the bread and butter of the Yotes. They kept the score low.
Yeah.
They lost some close, low-scoring games early.
Yep.
Then the offense picked it up, but the defense held down the fort all year. Chris Dixon, an interior tackle who was an all-conference performer, didn't get notoriety because he didn't make a lot of tackles. He's in the middle of the defense. He's trying to stuff things up or open things up for the linebackers. He's back. He could have gone somewhere. I'm guessing he didn't. On the back end, you have Roman Tillman.
Yep.
He went to Boise State, who they play. How exciting is that?
That's their week 1 game?
It's week 2 or week 3.
Yeah.
They go out to Boise.
Money game.
For sure. And so key returning defensive players, key losses, but how have things changed in the offseason, if at all? Again, I encourage people to listen to Happy Hour with Matt Vitztham from April 15th. And you can listen to that, by the way. You can watch it at SiouxFallsLive.com.
MidwestSportsPlus.com.
MidwestSportsPlus.com or the Midwest Sports Plus app. Now, the secret to finding it quickly is to go to the old Google machine, Google search, and Matt Vitztham, Happy Hour, Gaskins, something like that. It'll pop right up. You go into the article.
Johnny G, I think it picks up pretty well in the algorithms.
Okay, I don't think so. You go right in the article. There's the video of the interview, and then there's that little icon in the bottom right-hand screen where if you're on your phone, you can tap that, and it can probably connect your phone to your television so you can watch the interview on your television. Or you can go all the way back and listen to it wherever you find your podcasts. But we are a television product at SiouxFallsLive.com.
Right. Shout out Cordell.
And Missouri Valley Football Conference Media Day will be literally a television product on KSFL TV along with SiouxFallsLive.com. So we've done the Jacks, we've done the Yotes, who, by the way, one thing I do want to hear from them. They finished sole second place in the Mo Valley last year. And we talk about how, they made the quarterfinals, and they came back after a lousy 2-3 start. They were the second best team, and North Dakota State's gone, which means they were the best team that wasn't North Dakota State last year by a game. And Illinois State ended up being the team that went the furthest. They were 5-3 in the league. They lost 4 overall until they got beat by Montana State in the national championship game. But I think maybe, again, we can ask the question. The answer might not be the right answer or what we're looking for. But if we know we don't know when the poll, I think the poll's coming out like that morning. And we expect the Jacks to be number 1. If they are, how much does that motivate the Yotes, who went around further than the Jacks last year and finished sole second? Because and by the way, if they are picked 5th or 6th, like where Zim has them, again, how motivated will they be? They always feel, and they hate us saying this. This caused a big Twitter war back in February, but they always feel like little brother, even if they're performing, and in some years beating little brother. They've won 3 of the last 6 games, and yet it's like the Brady Bunch, Marcia. It's Jacks.
They'll certainly feel slighted if they're ranked that low. But again, I think your job though is to go out and focus internally, and that's totally where everything needs to be for both of these teams right now, because nothing is guaranteed, especially with North Dakota State out. Like, the door is open for everyone in this conference, and that includes you, Murray State. Okay, you can do it. Okay, probably not this year, but it is interesting though, right? I mean, that is the overarching storyline, and I think for good reason. This has been North Dakota State's home. And they have dominated it for years. I know there was a couple years there where the Jacks had some unbelievable teams that were certainly, national champions. But this is the storyline. Who's going to take that mantle now? I know I lean South Dakota State right now with the pedigree and the championship resume. But
the returning quarterback, and he's got a better team around him than Bo Brungard has at Youngstown.
For sure, I agree.
But I mean, those two waged down to the wire. That was 35-30 Jacks in Youngstown last year.
I still go back to remember that New Hampshire coach after the South Dakota State game? I think he said he's a first or second round talent.
Yeah.
I thought it was the most ridiculous thing to say at the time, and the more and more I kind of think about it with him coming back another year, I'm like, dude, with all the tools that Chase Mason has, he truly could be that if he can play up to that potential.
The tools and the measurables. I mean, he's 6'3", like 250, all muscle, rocket freak arm. I mean, literally, his nickname was Wild Thing when he pitched.
Yeah.
Like Rick Vaughn, because of the velocity he could put on it. Now, sometimes he misses it. But that's what the pro teams drool over. It's not how many games he's played. It's not his stats. If his stats are glossy, even better. They drool over the physical.
He played 9-man football in high school.
Well, sure, but if he was 5'9", $165, that doesn't matter. So anyway, I mean that's to me the most fascinating thing about this upcoming season.
100%
is Chase Mason and what will all that look like?
Yeah.
But the Yotes, by the way, how I see the Mo Valley is you got 6 teams I think going after a title.
Yeah.
And 3 teams who are at just the bottom of the heap and literally the bottom feeders. That's what it has been the last 2 or 3 years. Northern Iowa, Murray State, and Indiana State just have been. They can't get it going. They are at places where they don't have the resources. Northern Iowa used to have the football tradition, but it just kind of faded away once North Dakota State and then the Jacks took over in this league.
Yep.
The other 6, maybe SDSU, they're not a strong favorite, they're a favorite. But Matt said 2 to 6 you can pick them. They can interchange between Youngstown, Illinois State, Southern Illinois, UND.
SIU.
And there you go. So, with that in mind, our third and final topic for our little pre-MVFC Media Day show is from anybody else besides the Jacks or the Yotes. We open up the floor to the rest of the teams in the league. Who or what do you want to hear about the most? What intrigues you?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it outside of the teams here regionally is, can you be a playoff team? I mean, I think that is truly just the bar. Can you make the playoffs? And in this conference, right, if you win enough games, you're going to do that. And so I think it's, where do you stack up in the conference right now with North Dakota State out of this? Where do you stack up in this conference now? I look at some teams that could be sleepers. Southern Illinois, you just mentioned it. They could be a sleeper. They played some teams super tough. Really good teams, super tough. They give everybody a run for their money.
And
every
the
year.
Yotes on the ropes there in that last game.
They've had a coach that's been there for a while. They've got some consistency. Their facilities are outstanding.
Southern Illinois?
Yeah.
Really?
I think their football field is tremendous.
Okay.
I covered plenty of games there when SEMO played against them. Maybe it was
Southeast Missouri.
I'll tell you what. I think maybe the bar, Southeast Missouri set the bar so low in facilities that maybe when I went to Carbondale, I was always so kind of blown away by it. But again, though, they've been in this mix for a while.
Yeah.
And they're a team that I could see maybe making a push to try to get into that upper echelon and be a competitor every season, and maybe a top 3 team in the Mo Valley. And I look at teams like that. I look at what is Illinois State. The big question is how do you
national runner-up?
Yep.
Was that just a great run like Youngstown State with Bo Pelini 10 years ago?
Not just national runner-up too, John. They were right in the mix in that game. That was an outstanding.
They should have won.
They probably should have won the game.
Yeah, they blew it. A series of catastrophic, if not buffoonery.
But a lot of turnover, right? And so how do you do that again? How do you get back there?
Coach is back.
Yeah, big questions for them too.
It feels. We don't know until we see it. That's why it's July. It feels like that was just a great run, like Bo Pelini had with Youngstown State. They're going to gravitate back to the middle of the league, a 15th to 25th ranked team in the country. Mm-hmm. That's the feel. Youngstown State, I mean, they should be right up there because they have Bo Brungard. That's my intrigue, is what do they have around him? Do they have enough of a team around him to be a serious contender for this league and for the national title? Because if you have a quarterback that good, you should be better than 3, 4, 5 losses.
Yeah. I think one thing SDSU and USD have proven is that defense matters a lot in this conference, especially USD last season. You already mentioned it. They were an outstanding defensive team last year. They played that mind-numbing, brand of basketball or football that I think that you as a Nebraska Cornhuskers fan can really appreciate. It's almost like that Iowa Hawkeye kind of style of football. Yeah, it was, right? Run heavy and play action.
Travis Johansson I think, was a Minnesota kid, but he spent a lot of time coaching in Iowa. And Vitztham is an Iowan who grew up a Hawkeye fan and named his son after Hayden Fry.
How about that?
Do
you appreciate that?
Go back. Well, it is what it is.
Where's he from in Iowa?
People in Iowa love their football. Don't put me on the spot. I think it was Altoona, but I'm not sure. But I could be getting him confused with somebody else.
Okay.
We'll find that for you by the end of the show. Yeah, but no, you're right. The ball control, field position, don't turn it over, keep the score low, punt on 4th down almost all the time, make the other team blink.
Kind of a pro style approach.
I asked Vitztham about that. Are you going to be a little more gamble, a little bit more? You got an offensive head coach now.
Yeah.
Offensive head coach. Is he going to gamble more? And he said, well, I'm not going to be Dan Campbell, okay?
Right.
It's going to matter the situation, the trends of the game.
Yep.
Are we winning or losing the line of scrimmage, the where it is on the field. But he hinted that he might be a little bit more aggressive on offense.
I'll say this. At the NFL level, and that's an interesting thing you bring up, that's why it matters so much more at the NFL level than it does at the college level, because that gambling, like the margin there is so tight. You have guys at every position, right?
Yeah.
These are all guys that are playing professional football for a reason.
Yeah.
At the college level, you're playing to your identity a lot more. So you're not taking as many chances if that's not who you are, right? So
conceivably,
I think with what Matt Vitztham brings to the table. He seems more of like you mentioned, he didn't really call plays, more of like a delegator at that head coach spot. So I think they play to their identity, and that would suit them the best if they did.
Quarterback matters so much. And they have 3 different guys as far as their styles, their skill sets.
That's interesting.
Which is a great thing to choose from, but who you choose might dictate how you play.
Yep.
And then how he performs early will dictate how much of more of aggressive of an offense you're going to be,
right.
Or because you have a young first-time quarterback. Now, then you're going to be more conservative.
Yep.
But they were conservative with Aiden freaking Bauman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So just to set Aiden up to make the big plays late in the game.
Oh yeah.
They have Jackson Proctor, they have Nevin Semirascali. They have Austin Majewski. That's how it's Modrzeewski. I should have.
That's got to be like
I should have quizzed you
or something.
It's Majewski. That's what Vitztham told me.
Majewski.
Majewski is how he. Yeah.
How much time does he spend out on?
I'm
Lake
kind of
Yankton?
rooting for him to be the quarterback.
Yeah,
just so I can say that all the
amazing.
time. Majewski.
Wait, is he a freshman though?
Who's Jetski? Majewski. Thank you, Cordell. And one of these
Get
guys.
the student section going on that one. Who's Jetski?
Yeah. And the thing is, one of these guys is a transfer who has the Ivy League experience. Okay, I would give the advantage to that guy. You bring in those guys because you feel like you need that. You don't want to throw a rookie in there.
Smart, but
kind of like Kyler Murray instead of J.J. McCarthy, right? But again, if you want a quarterback that has some crazy athleticism, they've got that in the stable as well now that can run. So anyway, we'll find more about what he has to say on Media Day. Looking forward to it.
I'm going to need you to ask a question so that you can say Majewski.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, so, okay. Well, let's workshop that right now. What's that question?
I just want to know how Majewski is doing.
There you go.
Coach, I just want to know
how's my jet ski doing?
Yeah. How's my jet ski doing? How's he been looking this offseason? How's my jet ski been running? How are the wheels?
Should that be the first?
Wheels
should
on
that
my
be
jet
the
ski?
First question? Going to really shake things up instead of, "Hey, Matt, how you doing? It's good. How's your spring been? Are you guys
how's
ready?
My jet ski?
You guys ready to go? Yeah. Just how's my jet ski? I've got a few days to think about that one.
My jet ski.
As you mentioned, it is still baseball season. And I tell you what, I mean, the Canaries are the Canaries. They're the hometown team. They've gone to the playoffs 3 straight years. They've won 5 games in a row. They were looking pretty bad there at the end of their last homestand. They get on the road and they get hot, and so they're near the halfway point and the All-Star break of their season. They have their All-Star break next week, just like Major League does.
How about that play by Mike Hart?
And
that was
okay. Thank you for mentioning that.
Were you playing it?
Cordell,
oh man,
play of the year.
It's
I
great.
Mean, I haven't seen. Not that I'm watching web gems every night like I did when
Talk
I
about
was a
hustle,
kid.
man.
But the play to beat Sioux City, and I think it was either the second or third win over Sioux City over the weekend.
That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, he makes ground ball pretty sharply hit. He stops it right behind the bag, dives for the bag, gets the runner out, and then zings just a laser to home plate.
They're due for like one of those every season. That's what gets me excited for Canaries baseball when it kind of gets going.
Yeah.
Because I remember like the Jordan Barth diving catch at shortstop.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Jabari Henry home run to break the no-hitter bid last
the
season.
only hit of the night, a walk-off home run.
It's just the coolest game-ending stuff sometimes. And
Yeah.
sometimes you miss it if you're not there
Yes.
at the birdcage, so it's totally worth
Well,
going out
he's
for that.
Jabari's still hurt. I think he might be back after the All-Star break, but Mike Hart's kind of your leader
He's been
and
killing, though.
your ticket now. He's one of the best players in the league.
Ray Walt, I mean, they had 4 home runs 2 nights ago. 18-2 win.
I mean, Ray Walt again. Josh Ray Walt from USF, a 6'7", 250,
Mash, man.
just a tank.
I think if they could just get the pitching,
Yeah.
and this is what I've been saying about the Padres for
Yeah.
months now. If you
Now
can
it's
just
the
get
Twins.
enough out of the pitching,
yeah.
this offense can carry,
Yeah.
man.
Yes.
They can hit against anybody. I mean, there truly isn't anything they can't hit.
I kind of trust, Matt Zimmer's of the thought of that, their chance to win it all was last year. They were 3 outs away. They didn't get it done. Then they lost the next night, and they're like, that was it.
No shot, man. Not in the American Association. Come on.
Thank you. There's not a lot of pitching in the American Association. It's very up for grabs. And I trust Mike Meyer. It's the last 3 years, that's how you get 5 or 10 games above 500 every year. That's how you win the most games in the league the 3 years prior to this one. The Canaries won more playoffs and regular season combined than anybody in the league. Is because there's always going to be something that we just saw, a 5-game winning streak. Last year they had a 10-game winning streak.
Yep.
And maybe they have another skid, they dip, but things are perking up for them. They are I've got chicken scratch all over my sheet here, so I have to wear it. 25-23, second in the West. That's a league where it's the top 4 teams in each division make the playoffs. No, Kansas City Monarchs are back as the New York, the old New York Yankees of this league. They're 2.5 back of KC in the American Association West. The Twins, though, they've given us reason to pay attention. Maybe some people are like, come on. They're a game under 500. They're in the crappiest division.
What are the chances, John? What are the chances they make the playoffs? Give it to me.
I've got it. For one, they have a better chance of winning the division than getting the wild card. According to MLB Fangraphs, 26% chance to win the division, only a 16% chance to reach the wild card. That's probably because you're looking up at teams like the Yankees, and they're further back. They're only 2 games. Right now, actually, they're a half game back of the last wild card spot, and they're a game back of Cleveland in the division for second place. They're just 2 games back of the White Sox for first place.
They just swept the Yankees.
I
believe a call-up just hit a walk-off for them last night. Rodin.
Well, they've now won 4 in a row. And you're right. That was Rodin's, I think, second Major League game, first of this year. So they've kind of come out of nowhere. They're down 5-2 as we talk. So maybe, they were down 5-3 to the Indians last night in the 7th, and the Indians did the pull.
It was Guardians.
Guardians. Sorry. How long has it been? 5 years?
Can we bleep that?
No, it's okay. They're still the Indians to me. I'm sorry.
Mark it.
It would be funny. That would make for better content if you bleeped it. Cleveland. Cleveland pulled a Twins last night. They walked the bases loaded twice. Their bullpen blew it, and then Rodin got the game-winning hit. Anyway, even if they lose today, they're still going to be maybe a couple games out of first, a game or game and a half back of the wild card. They've won 4 series in a row. They've won 4 or 5 games in a row coming into today. They are, since the start of the year, number 2 in runs scored in the American League, number 6 in all of baseball.
One of the worst bullpens. Gotta be.
Well, this is why they're 500. But they can score. I mean, watching a Twins game, surprisingly, with the lineup of Byron Buxton, who's hurt, and
it's just will they hang on to the league? It's kind of fun. Like they get up like 4 or 5 runs. You're like, can they hang on to this?
Yeah, it's like watching some Vikings teams of the 80s and 90s where they're a scoring explosion with no defense, and you're going to win or lose a shootout.
Oh, the Canaries have had some of those too.
Always, the Canaries have always had those.
How many of the parallels are?
Well, I would think that's. I don't know if that's more fun baseball to watch. I would think that's more fun baseball to watch.
I think
would you rather have a great pitching team? I mean,
I like a pitching duel.
To win games, you'd rather have a team that has top-notch pitching, and if you have suspect hitting, you live with it.
I like a 5-4 game. You know what I mean? That's where a little bit of both, right? A little bit of offense, and then maybe your pitching locks in. That's the kind of baseball I like.
But I think this isn't just an eye roll for the Twins right now. There's reasons to believe they're going to have a July surge. For one, their next trip before the All-Star break is against the Angels. That's the worst team in baseball. I don't know if that's home or away. Cordell could look that up. But they're playing the worst team in baseball. They should win that series. They win another series. That's at home. They really should win it this weekend. Byron Buxton's been hurt, and it's not quite clear how long he's going to be out. But he's not missing any games for about 5 days. You got the All-Star break. I think if Cordell's got the schedule, I think their next game after Sunday is Friday.
Do they have any All-Stars?
So,
Cordell? Next game's Friday. I want you to check Twins All-Stars now.
Well, Buxton, and he's not going to play.
Just Buxton.
I think so. Certainly not anywhere from the pitching staff.
Yeah. I think the Padres only have
Mason
Miller.
But they have second best offense in the American League, 6th best in baseball. And Joe Ryan. Okay. Well, that's an interesting piece as we get closer to the trade deadline, because that's where conversations should flow this time of year. The Twins are set up the way they are trending offensively. And their starting rotation. The bullpen might suck. Their starting rotation since June 1st, 11th best ERA in all of baseball. That's top half. That's almost top third. That's pretty good. So if they keep trending that way, it comes down to most nights if the bullpen is going to blow it or not. But Buxton's going to be back. At some point, Jeffers is going to be back. But the catcher they've had the last Cataloni. God, we're showing that we need a little brush up on our Twins here.
Well,
they've had a good catcher filling in for Jeffers, and this Roden kid might turn into something. Luke Keyshaw had a sac fly last night, slowly but surely coming along. I don't want to sound like a total Twins rube here. I understand they have no chance to win the World Series if they made the playoffs.
Hey,
Yeah. Major League is my favorite sports movie.
Come on, John. Have a little. Are you like a genuinely a Twins fan? I don't think we've ever even.
I am when they're good.
Yeah, you just kind of
I get on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Kind of how I'm with the Royals.
Well, this job, hosting a sports talk show in South Dakota in Sioux Falls, is a lot more fun when the Twins are good. If they can stay relevant through July and August, we'll talk about them more because more people are paying attention because they're worth a shit. Well, they have a chance to be worth a shit.
I think sweeping the Yankees has a lot of them pretty excited.
You got the Angels coming up. The schedule bears out. Buxton comes back. Jeffers comes back. And then you go to Chicago. That's going to be tough. But then you go to Cleveland. That's going to be
White Sox or
tough.
Cubs?
Cubs. They're going to Wrigley after the All-Star break.
I mean, the White Sox, though, have been...
Then you got the A's who are lousy, the Royals who are bad, back-to-back at home, and then you go to Seattle, a meh team that you should at least win 1 out of 3 from. So the schedule, all the way up until the trade deadline, that's their schedule. They're trending well. For now, the front office just waits and sees. We know how the ownership has been feeling lately about buying or selling or doing anything.
They won't do anything.
But the Twins are giving, fans a reason to it. I don't know. Pay attention at least this month, yes.
We got France and Morocco starting here, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know people are checked out of World Cup stuff right now, but these quarterfinal games, I mean, wow. It's going to be good stuff.
Go ahead. I'll let you go on this.
I just think they're all set up really well. I mean, this is the first one here today. I think they're all good.
Got France and Morocco. I mean, France is the favorite to win this whole thing, right?
Yeah, France is probably the favorite.
Minus 400. Okay. What's the
France
next best? What's the minus 400 to win today.
Spain's probably up there.
You have France and Morocco, then you have Spain and Belgium tomorrow, and then the winner of those two play each other in one semifinal.
Yep.
Norway and England on Saturday at 4.
That's going to be a fun one.
Man, the Gronk of soccer.
Yeah, man. Erling Haaland.
Oh, my God. He is... Spain 360.
Yeah,
Argentina 450. England 4. Those are the top 3.
And Argentina, Switzerland.
France is number 1, right? Okay,
so it's
180.
Argentina, Switzerland is the last quarterfinal game, correct?
Yeah, Saturday night. So
these are all good games.
Feels like NFL playoffs. Saturday you got the late afternoon game, Norway, England, Harry Kane and the Gronk, and then Argentina, Switzerland is the late game. Yeah, and this is still the place to watch it.
Yeah,
they're probably not going to have, hundreds of people here like the American watch parties, but this is still the official place of the American Outlaws.
Yep.
So if you're still really into this World Cup thing, you need a great bar with great food that are definitely going to have the games with the sound on. I mean, this is a perfect. They're not. I guarantee you, not all the sports bars that have sports in their name in town are going to have sound of these World Cup.
Look at these big ass JBLs up here too. I mean, they got it. You can hear it. You can probably hear it through this right now.
Games on, but they will hear at Craven. So if you're really into it, you can't go wrong here at Craven for these last 7 World Cup games.
That's right.
So. That's it. Too bad about the Americans, but I think enough oxygen has been wasted on the breakdown of the. Pretty simple. Belgium's a lot better.
They
still
scored that third goal, and I kind of resigned myself at the end of it. I was like, whatever. Yeah. Whatever. I'm used to this.
Yeah. I asked Zimmer, I'll ask you. I compare the USA soccer team to the Vikings. Anytime the Vikings get kind of good and reach the playoffs, hear me out. Good regular season, show some signs of promise, run into a team that's definitely better than them, and then just get de-pantsed. Yeah. De-pantsed, okay? Like 2017 NFC Championship against the Eagles. 2000 NFC Championship, 41 donut Giants. After the Kirk Cousins to Kyle Rudolph in New Orleans, they go out to get hammered by the Niners, 31-7. They get destroyed by the Rams after winning 14 games a couple years ago.
That's a pretty good comparison. I was kind of likening it to Cowboys fans as far as U.S. national team people getting excited about it, having really high expectations, because that's how it works for Cowboys fans, right? Yeah. They start to believe, and I think belief is the worst thing that they can possibly do.
Belgium's better. They're just better at soccer. Europe's better at soccer than we are here. We're trying to narrow the gap, but we have not yet, clearly.
Yeah.
That's it. You can beat a bunch of other teams. You can't beat the European teams yet. It would help if Christian Pulisic, somebody donated him a pair of testicles. Yes? No?
Yeah.
All right.
He went silent in the biggest moment, man.
Thank you, Trent.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Cordell Wright, our video producer, Jackson Renshaw, and the fine folks here at Craven. Have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Off.
Be back here in a few weeks.
Hope I find pictures of you on your jet ski.
Yeah, my jet ski.
Cheers.
It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
It is chow time. Chow time at Gibbs Sports Bar for Nate Malchow. Not yet a South Dakota High School Basketball Hall of Famer or South Dakota Sports Hall of Famer, but he will be someday. His dad is in the South Dakota High School Basketball Hall of Fame as a coach.
As a
player. 1961 Aberdeen Central State champions.
Yep.
So the son of a great player, brothers. You played high school ball with Josh Heupel. You were a part of some coaching staffs with a legend or two. Scott Nagy at South Dakota State, Nate Tibbetts at Roosevelt, and of course Nate eventually Sioux Falls, Washington head girls coach for 9 seasons.
Correct.
3 state titles, and in 2014 stepped down to be the athletic director there, the activities director where he still is, cancer survivor, a lot of stories to tell. It's just great to see you here, that you could sneak out in the early July, Nate. Your busy administrator schedule allows you to spend an hour with us.
No, great to be here. And John, our
working relationship goes back about 20 years now. So it's when you were calling games when I was coaching. So kind of come full circle here and in some different roles and all of that. But happy to be here and talk some shop with you today.
Yeah, I remember calling some games for you in 2008, starting in 2008 when I came to Sioux Falls on the radio, and called your state title in 2010 at Huron Arena. A memorable trip for your team certainly, but for me and friends in the media like Stu Whitney to Huron for a few reasons. But that was a long time ago. But I can't wait to reminisce about that. Some of the great players you had at Washington, some of the great coaches you've worked with at Washington as well. But, the first thing is first. For one, how are you? I mean, how are you?
Doing good. I mean, it's a busy time of the year now that we get back from the 4th of July, and you have that dead period, which we were talking about from July 1st through 7th. And professionally, things kick in at this point here, too. We got a lot of activities that are resuming their rehearsals, their open gyms, their open fields, their strength and conditioning. So some people think that a school gets quiet during the summer. Not our high schools. We got a lot of things that are going on, and it's good to see. We get a lot of kids that are coming through, staying active. All of our programming at Washington takes place mostly in the morning time, so kids have an opportunity to get in their work and go be kids. So, from that point, it's going well. Personally, things are going very well. Just got back from a quick vacation up to Minnesota with our family. Our kids are getting older, and my wife Sarah and I are just trying to keep track of all their activities along with the activities that we have at Washington.
Got it. So where in Minnesota? Was it a lake trip?
We had a lake trip. My parents have a cabin up by Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
All right.
So we were, in fact, 2 nights ago, they had the big tornado in Big Floyd Lake, which was right west of them, probably 10 miles.
Okay.
So they had a little bit of storm damage, but the lake that we're on is Cotton Lake in Minnesota, right by there, but luckily they didn't have a tornado. Yeah. But thinking of the people at Big Floyd, because they had a lot of damage up there and a lot of cleanup and everything too.
Good. Well, you were telling me that you guys get basically a week, that people in your realm of administration get a week where they make you not work, which I think is great for your sanity. Yep. And I hope you got a chance to get to Zorba's Pizza. I mean, you got to go to Zorba's when you go to Detroit Lakes, right?
I didn't. This time I didn't hit Zorba's. Most every year that's a stop. But we got a couple places up there in DL right on the shoreline up there that we hit up, and didn't hit Zorba's, but that place is crazy.
If you ever go to Detroit Lakes, if you've never been, you got to go to Zorba's at some point. Big pizza joint right on the lake. It's a good party. Mm-hmm. How old are the kids now?
Our daughter Macy is going to be a junior at Gustavus Adolphus. Nice. She's playing volleyball there, so very busy with that. Our twin sons Jake and Cole are going to be sophomores at Washington. And then we have another daughter, Katie, who will be a freshman at Washington. So 3 in high school next year, and I don't know, just another one that when they see their dad in the Commons, they turn and walk away. I don't know if I'm not the cool status once you become a dad at the high school. Unless they need money, then they'll come in.
Yeah, of course. Then you're their favorite person.
See you for that, but. But it's fun. I mean, there's something about having a kid in school, and some of the guests that you've had on, John, and listening to your show and had an opportunity to coach their kids. While I can't do that, I still get to see them in school and get involved in their activities and their peers. So pretty special when we can all be together.
Your kids were ages 6 to 12 when you stepped down, and that was 12 years ago. And so you had not hit 40 years old yet. How tough of a decision that was, and how do you look back at that now that you've gotten a chance to do, I think, what you wanted to do, which is be able to have more time to watch your kids grow up?
Yeah, I was relatively young when I stepped down in 2014. I was 36 years old at the time, and started at Washington in 2005 when I was 27. So 9 great years, but when it got to the end of it, it was ready for something ready to do something different. I knew that I always wanted to get into some kind of an administrative role, and had done my studies to prep for that, and ended up that opportunity. Kevin Kennedy was there as the AD prior to me, and a great mentor, and he was ready to retire. So after we won it in 2014, I think it was a day or two after, and we made that change right away. But definitely, John, there's things that you miss. There's things that you look back on, and great memories and great players and parents and community and all of that. But a little bit different in this role is that you're not with that core group maybe of kids that you're used to being around, but you're serving a lot more and a lot more activities. So very thankful to be in this role too. And to be honest with you, I don't miss the coaching that much unless it's March and district time. So old coaches have a lot of answers during that month there.
Of course they do,
and a lot of stories to tell. But other than that, I don't miss the grind of that. I got 13 years in, great years, but it was time to do something different at that point.
And how's your health these days?
Health is good. Thanks for asking. It's been an interesting 7-8 years with that, with a couple of different cancer battles. I'm a 2-time survivor, stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. So some people may know about that, some people may not, but every day is a good day and every day is a blessing that I get to get up and be with my family and go to work.
Yeah. Has it gone through it's been 8 years now. Has it been a lot of peaks and valleys?
Yeah. I was first diagnosed in August of 2018, which kind of came out of nowhere and just shocked with that. So ended up during that diagnosis going through 6 months of chemotherapy, followed by twice every 2 weeks. I would go in for my infusions, and then after that it was 3 or 4 weeks of radiation. So I actually was in remission from that until February of 2023, and I had a recurrence. Just wasn't feeling very good at that time, and went in and got checked, and they upped the ante that time. Had a little more intensive chemotherapy, inpatient, where I probably did 4 inpatient sessions in Sioux Falls here, 3 days each. And then I actually went to Mayo Clinic in the summer of 2023 and had a little more work testing and more chemo done there. And then I had a stem cell bone marrow transplant. So I don't know, it was June 13th of 2023, and they called that another birthday. So we're 3 years out on that, and thankful that I'm in remission from that right now.
Yeah. What kinds of, you can take us to either of the moments, either in, what was it, August 9th, 2018, or you said June 13th, 2023, but we'll go to the first one. I mean, you are a guy 4 years removed from coaching, but still right around 40 years old. You're an ex-athlete. You're in fairly good shape. In fact, I understand you had been going through a spell where you had lost about 20 pounds from just being healthy.
Yeah.
And then you learn about this. And what was the reaction? And what were you told about your chances to live?
Yeah, it certainly came as a surprise. You know, I had taken that summer in 18 to work out pretty heavily and get myself back into shape, and actually from that standpoint I was feeling pretty good. And you know, I'm not shy talking about this. If it helps somebody else out, that makes all the difference. But I had a lump in my neck, just on a large lump, and I had some very, very, my skin was very itchy at that time. So I'm thinking, you know, maybe it's allergies or something like that. Well, we did those tests, and that didn't. Those turned out negative. So I went in for a CT scan, and that's when they found out that I had some masses that were growing and in my neck and in my chest, and started chemo. Got my port put in and started chemotherapy almost right after that. So certainly a life changer. When the tough part is when people are in this situation a lot of the time, I don't think a lot of the people who actually have it are maybe worried about themselves. They're more concerned with, okay, how's my family going to be? How do you break that news to your family, and how do you go through that journey together? Because certainly there's a lot of ups and downs and everything for that. So that was probably my primary concern right away, was my family, and then you start getting into your friends and your work and how are we going to take care of that. But can't tell you, John, just how supportive this community was of me, both during that time and also the recurrence that I had, and people stepping up and helping out with my work at school, whether it's taking the AD gigs. The Sioux Falls School District allowed me to work at that time too, which was probably some of the best medicine that you can have. I mean, how can you not come into a school be around kids and not be re-energized and just being around the kids and still being able to be around the activities when I could get there. I'm just thankful. And then just being around the day to day. And I mean, if I'm sitting there in treatment, pulling out a laptop and still being able to converse with coaches and my colleagues and everything. So I'm really thankful that I was able to work through that, and I don't know, a little bit of a point of pride too that I was able to do that.
Sure. I'm guessing did that help take your mind off of things?
No question.
Okay.
No question. And my nurses, whether here in Sioux Falls or over at Mayo Clinic, they'd come back and they just start laughing and they're saying, well, you're on your laptop and working again. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can go through some of these treatments, but I have to have something to keep my mind off it too, and a love for what I do in this position, and the work that needs to be done and the day-to-day stuff. Was still able to do that. I had a lot of help from a lot of people and our fellow administrators at Washington and in the district to help me through that time, but I'm just happy that they still allow me to have my feet in the water, so to say, and continue to work.
Well, yeah, and Kevin Kennedy, the athletic director that came before you, who retired to make way for your opportunity, came back, right? Came back out of retirement to do some of the old gig again.
Oh, so thankful for that. And Kevin's one of my big-time mentors in the AD world, and he was. It was awesome that he took the time to come back, and we're in good hands because he's seen about everything, and he came back and took that over the events piece over for close to a whole school year for me.
Yeah. It probably isn't the most comfortable thing talking about it, but I mean, what kind of depths when you weren't able to work, when you were at the hospital, what were the extremes that it went to as far as the pain or the fatigue and all that comes with it, the mental fatigue as well.
Yeah, I try to describe it to people, but I mean, those who have been through a battle probably understand that best. I mean, the feeling, the part that was difficult for me was the chemotherapy. I mean, that's no doubt just, being an athlete, you're used to, putting your body through a little bit of hurt and a little bit of soreness and a little bit of pain, but just the things that were associated with that, just the, just the general fatigue, being tired, getting sleep. It was unlike anything I've ever been through, and I hope I don't have to go through it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, between that and probably the time after I had my stem cell transplant for a good month was really tough.
Okay. So. Was there any doubt you'd make it through?
I didn't have any doubt. I guess it's right. Your competitive genes kick in when you get this. I know a lot of people say that, and it maybe sounds like cliche, but our family's take, my wife Sarah, and she was by my side through this whole thing, and just awesome. But she was probably my biggest advocate through this whole thing too, because when you're going to appointments and you're trying to progress this and kind of take in the emotionality of going through something like this, she was that steady hand and that steady Eddie who was going through helping us make decisions. And John, probably the biggest thing is finding a plan.
Yeah.
Executing the plan, and then seeing what happens. And there's a lot of coaching that goes background that goes into that, or athlete background. You're working towards something. You're working towards a goal of getting healthy and all of that. And I was that's the mindset that my family and I took with that, and fortunate enough to have a lot of support from people that were behind us.
Were there certain things you would read or watch that got you through things when all you could do is lay down?
I'll be honest with you. I had people sending me Rocky videos and all that stuff. I'd be in a chemo chair right there. And when I couldn't sit still, though, and I would have to get up and take laps, and I don't know, maybe my people who work with me would say the same thing, because at an event you're always moving around as an AD. But I would stand up and I'd take my my IV bag or my chemo drug bag, and I'd just go take laps and try to talk to people but no,
was it just because you were restless?
I was restless, but got to know my chemo nurses really well, and they're wonderful people who are in that profession, and they were just I don't know, some of those things don't leave you. Even though you're in that, you still want to get around and maybe talk to people and just be yourself and all of that. So that's where I found a little bit of solace. But I'll be honest with you, I have playlists and all that stuff that we're going with music just to get you through.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on a 6-hour session right there, to get you through that last hour and a half, because that can be brutal at times as well.
I bet. Well, it does sound like the whole athlete in you really helped.
Yeah.
You should be. I mean, this thought pops into my head. They should have cancer coaches. You would be a good you'd probably be a decent one at that, for people who weren't as well adjusted and ready for that sort of thing as you. Because
and there is actually some coaching that goes into that. I mean officially maybe not one, but a lot of people that I've met along this road, and people that are going through something similar or looking to get major medical treatments and decisions. I've had the opportunity to visit with and maybe expand that with some of the the people that I know or whatever that may be, just being there to help. And I always say that if people have questions, I'm open to talking about my journey. If it helps somebody get through something or help maybe an expectation or whatever, it's all worth it.
The last one I have in this realm is the first football season. So like 2 or 3 months, correct me if I'm wrong, after you were diagnosed, there was a game in Aberdeen, Washington. The school you worked for was visiting Aberdeen. The school you played for, they had a blackout cancer night. And then a couple weeks later, this was several months after the Philly special play in the Super Bowl, the Eagles-Patriots game in Minneapolis of the Philly special. Chad Stathem's the head coach at Washington. He runs the same play, but he called it Chow. And the quarterback who got to score the touchdown, Jade Johansson, raised the ball to the air. And I don't know if you knew what was going on at that time, but in both of those cases, what did that mean to you?
I just, blessed. You feel pretty special moments. Not only I still Aberdeen and the hub, I call it the hub city, has meant so much to our family through the years, and just the connections and family and friends and everybody that we have up there, for them to take time to support. And I actually wasn't at both of these events because I was in treatment at the time, but my parents went, and I know that my brothers went to Aberdeen because I couldn't be there, and that was a really, really special night. Hats off to Gene Brownell and Don Seiler and that crew for helping with that. But then Statham told me something was coming on that Philly special play.
Okay.
And,
so were you watching that game live somewhere?
I was watching it online.
Yeah.
I think I was at home after a treatment, and he told me something was coming, and then after the game he texted me, and that was really cool. Chad has been a great friend through the years and a colleague and everything too, and that was really meant a lot to my family and I could show my kids that, and I'm like, hey, we got they're doing something that's making a positive out of a tough situation.
There's a lot of really awful things about modern technology, and you've probably lived through that a lot, being around your own kids and high school kids. But those are a couple examples where that's good to have, right there for you. It comes back, stuff that was captured that you got to see because you couldn't physically be there.
Well, and even when you're going through something like that, you talk about the technology and the text, and maybe we had like it was a Facebook page my wife put together so people could keep track of you. But going back to what you said to get you through some of those things, I would just look through my phone and the text messages and the Facebook messages that people were putting out there. I mean, it was like, let's go. I mean, let's it was like coaching in a big game and get ready and get some encouragement and get through. So modern technology has its interesting things, but also it allows you to connect with people too.
Love you. Well, so glad you're healthy.
Oh, thanks,
and
John.
happy.
Appreciate
and we're
it.
in the clear of that.
Well, and John, you were a person that was checking in on me both of those times too. So, just going back to our working relationship and calling games and basketball, there's things that are bigger than in life right there too. And you were one of the people that was reaching out to me. So I won't forget that, and I appreciate it.
Well, of course. I mean, you're an easy guy to reach out to and root for. You seem to have at least pretended like you enjoyed the Saturday morning coaches' conversations on the radio. It's been a long time since we've done that together, but I did. I haven't been able to talk to you every week for the last 15 years, but we run into each other just enough now.
And that was like Saturday morning fellowship there. We'd come there and we would be at it was a free breakfast, so coaches love free food, so you go.
You think coaches love free food? Imagine the lowly paid media.
So we would go there.
Hy-Vee, the Hy-Vee brunch buffets.
Yes. But we would all gather, all the boys and girls coaches.
And by the way, this was circa 2008 to 2011.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that is where you got your scouting reports. I mean, that was before huddle and all of that. And you're talking to coaches, and what a great fraternity to be in here in the Metro Conference, and coaches that I think Culsrud might be the only one who's still going from that crew, but just a great place for us to meet and talk and share ideas. And as coaches, you're going through that same grind. So here we are on a Saturday in late January, and you're trying to get to February and just get through another month. But we had that FaceTime together, and that was special.
You did like it because, of course, it was cool for us, the guys that got to interview you guys. We liked doing that. I'm not going to lie and say I loved getting up early on Saturday morning to go to any work of any sort, but did get a free breakfast out of it, as you mentioned. You guys are used to getting up early all the time anyway, so I don't think it was anything. But part of us felt like we were kind of dragging you there because you had just coached and maybe you got a chance, taking away your family time or rest time or whatever on a Saturday. But, yes, from my perspective, it still was enjoyable. You guys looked like you were having a good time talking to each other because we thought maybe, of course, I'm a young broadcaster at the time, so I just thought, these guys really want to, they're all opponents. They're all, but you mentioned it's a fraternity, so you kind of yell.
It is. I mean, we might go over to Roosevelt or go to O'Gorman and get our butts kicked on a Friday night, but I don't know. Part of going through a season 2 is showing up and facing the music sometimes. Maybe your pride was a little hurt because you got beat the night before, but if there's one thing my parents taught me, it's you get up and you face the music and you move on to the next thing.
Yeah, we always appreciated that. And so I guess you gave us a nice segue to go back to growing up in Aberdeen, which is such a sports loving town, and the image everybody, at least I have, when you think of Aberdeen, is Class B boys state basketball tournament every year, but just great basketball in general. I mean, this is a big high school basketball state. You're a big part of its history. So is your family. Now you're doing a podcast about it, the State of Hoops podcast with Todd Schlakeway. So, but take me back to Aberdeen and the 80s as a kid, the 90s as a teenager, and the sports and what it was like, how it shaped you.
Oh, just so fortunate to grow up in a town that supported all sports and just supported, just being a kid in general. I got great memories of my buddies growing up, and we just hop on a bike and drive around. It's a town of 25,000 people and has been that way for a long time, so the population stayed pretty consistent. But, our parents allowed us to hop on a bike and whether it's to go buy baseball cards downtown or just to go check things out, and just, the freedoms of being a kid in that town were a big part. But, my parents, my dad obviously played basketball at Aberdeen Central and had a career of his own, and my mom was a English substitute teacher, English teacher, choir director at our church. But I think those two are the foundation of what my brothers and I would say growing up. I have 3 older brothers, Eric, Peter, Mark. Those 3 brothers were my heroes growing up because Mark, the closest nearest to me, is 7 years older. So they're 11, 9, and 7.
You were the baby.
I was the baby.
Whoa.
And so some of the best lessons were probably just going out in the driveway, and we had an attached hoop to our roof and getting my butt kicked by my brothers or my dad. And then that's those are probably the first memories of playing basketball.
What was your dad like as a guy who was a big basketball star when he was younger? And obviously he's raising some basketball kids. Was he tough? Did he give you space? How would you describe that?
My dad and mom kind of gave us space to pursue our own interests, but they had a couple of requirements for us, for all 4 of my brothers, is that we were going to be in something in music, which we were all the way through.
And why was that? Why did they require that?
Both of my parents have a background in music, actually. My dad, even through his basketball career, what a lot of people don't know is that he was injured in college, which ended his playing career, but he went off to sing in the St. Olaf Choir, which is where he went to school, and that's a world-renowned concert choir, and he was a part of that. And my mom was in the choir as well too, and choir director by nature. So
their most famous alum is Rose Nyland from the Golden Girls.
Well,
so.
Of course, that's going back to the '80s.
Saint Olaf.
One,
yeah.
But,
anyway, sorry.
But yeah, that was they had two requirements, that we were going to be in music and we were going to run track. Yeah. So kind of rounding things out, I have two brothers who were amazing musicians as well, and we got our background in that, but we also ran track. And my dad always told us we were going to do that because you can't fool anybody on the track. You might be able to get into a team sport, and if I have a bad game or I miss a screen or maybe I miss a rebound, people aren't going to notice, but I might have been one of the tallest mid sprinters to middle distance guys who wasn't very good in track, but at least we were out there learning something and learning to get tough. Yeah. So great lessons from our
Did that
our
feel
parents.
awkward out there as a middle sprinter at 6'8"?
Gosh. So one time my buddies volunteered me to run an 800 at the old 4-star meet in Aberdeen, and I was late for practice one time, and all of a sudden I come in and they're like, well, you're going to run the 800, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's John, you talk about taking some of the well once, and that was it. But I learned a lot. I mean, I would run, primary 200 to 400s. Like I said, was not very good at all with that, but it allowed me to be around different people, be coached by different people. And when I got on the basketball court in the summertime, I always felt a little faster because, you put that in the back of your mind that, hey, I was out for track. I was running 40-degree weather. How come I can't run a floor fast there, too? So athlete mentality with that a little bit, but not a memorable track career for sure.
What was the instrument that you played? Was it piano?
I played a sousaphone, a tuba.
Okay.
So played a sousaphone for my first 2 years, and then we got really fancy in the Aberdeen Central Band, and I had a flip tuba.
Oh, wow.
That I played.
Loved it. 6'5", 6'8" guy walking around with a tuba.
And 20-mile-an-hour winds were not good when you got into those.
Why did you pick that?
Just something different. I think all my buddies wanted to play, trumpet or saxophone or something, and I'm like, I'll just I'll be a tuba guy. My oldest brother played tuba too, so I think we had one that was around.
Were you good at the tuba?
I was okay. So I actually continued to play. I'd come back in college for, like a Christmas service. So they had me come back and play in a couple of those sometimes. But it's been 25 years for that since I've played. But it was fun. But you learn as many things in music,
I bet,
as you do in sports. You know, the discipline, and I think that's helped me in this position now to maybe understand that a little bit better. While my background going through college is athletics, but just having that foundation in fine arts. And having siblings and parents that were very supportive of that, involved in that, has helped.
That's. I'm glad you brought that up, because I still say athletic director. That's what we usually say because we think of the sports. But you guys are all activities directors, so give us just a glimpse into that you're a part of their lives and curriculum or events or whatever. We don't really hear about that. We always hear about the sports.
Yeah, the sports are probably sometimes some of the more visual piece, just because of the amount of sports events that we have. Yeah. But we also are overseeing fine arts and just the wonderful talented kids that we have in that, and coaches and programs. And I mean, you look at Washington High School with our choirs, our bands, our orchestras, our oral and terp, our debate. I mean, we got kids who are lights out and doing great in those fields as well. And it's been fun to be able to work with our coaches. We got some great coaches and leaders who are working with kids, and also just getting to know some of those kids. Different when you're coaching basketball. I mean, you might have had some of these kids in the classroom, but once you're involved in their activity, you get to know about it a lot quicker.
And they probably expect or appreciate having the activities director at their plays or choir concerts or band concerts as much as the basketball and football players do.
No question. And just being able to be a part of that and having variety, and even in the day-to-day work too, outside of the events, just the broad spectrum of kids and coaches and interests that you're working with has been no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
Any AD would tell you that. and it's been fun, especially for me in the last 12, 13 years to get to know our fine arts world a little bit better there too, and just great. all the talented kids that are involved in that.
You might be able to relate to the music and drama and speech and band kids better than some of the other activities directors, just because you got to do it. You don't have to comment on that, but I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you tell them that you played the tuba? Do they know that?
I got respect for the tuba players. I'll watch those guys, and I'll tell them I played a flip, and they're playing a Sousa right there, and so it's like, this guy maybe knows a little something about that, but a lot of respect for those guys.
So back to Aberdeen in high school, and look, there are stories galore that I'm sure you could tell, but in lieu of time, you had an older brother, Mark, who was a part of a state tournament team or title team in '88.
Correct.
You got to go watch that at the Sioux Falls Arena. I'm sure it was full and rocking back in those days in 1988. He's 7 years older than you, so you're probably 10, 11 at the time. I'm sure that wet your whistle. And again, and so. You get to reach the state finals as a sophomore in '94 for Aberdeen, and you were teammates with Josh Heupel, the current coach at the football coach at the University of Tennessee. Of course, he was Did he win the Heisman? Did Heupel win the Heisman?
Josh would have been, and I'll call him Hype. That's what he was called. But he was the runner-up to Chris Wenke.
That's right. Thank you.
But in the end,
he terrorized Nebraska one year. I remember that at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So.
And while he didn't win the Heisman that year, they turned around. They beat Florida State and Wenke in the national championship game.
Bob Stoops' second year. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So, what was Josh like as a basketball teammate? Because, by the way, football, you tore your ACL freshman year.
Yep.
So that was it for football. Poured it all into basketball. What was Heupel like as a basketball teammate?
Josh was a talented basketball player. I think he would be one to tell you that. I mean, his interest in hoops. Obviously, he's a football guy, but even back then, he had just a vested interest in that, and a talented player. He's a lefty. He's a winner. He played a lot on that as a sophomore on that '94 team. We lost to Mitchell and Muntz and the Miller brothers and all of that in the state championship. But Josh was a key player at that time. But I mean, one thing that separated him, and even growing up with him, we'd known each other since we were in second, third grade. But just his confidence through the years. I mean, and you can see that. Come full circle here too. I mean, he always believed in himself, believed in his teammates, able to lift his teammates up, help them get to a different level. And you saw that in high school, and then things kind of went full bore when he went to Oklahoma and did everything that he did there. But he had to work. I mean, even to get to Oklahoma, his journey. I mean, having to go through some adversity in junior colleges. But there's one thing I'd say about Hype, and this is as a basketball guy, and I can say this as a post player. He's probably the best post passer that I ever played with, and that's one thing that people don't look at, because I look at post passing in today's game. You don't see hardly anybody throwing a wraparound bounce pass where that post can get it. Chin it right on the block at the hash. I got the ball wherever I wanted it when Hype was out on the wing. I mean, and he was looking to get you involved. And he'd probably laugh when I'd tell him that, but it's a little thing. And when you coach, you realize how big of a thing that is, even though it's a little thing, just to be able to make it easier on your bigs. And he was a talented passer. He's just one of those guys that he was almost one play ahead too, where you better be ready to get the ball and all that, but very talented basketball player.
Not a surprise. You kind of give a micro example of maybe how the game has changed a little bit. Does that whether you're watching high school or college or the pros, does that frustrate you? Have you seen a diminished amount of skill when it just comes to things like that? Not athleticism, not ability to put the ball in the basket or even the pass well, but little nuances like that. Is there less of that in today's game?
Well, I think there's some of it. I mean, the game right now, and anybody will tell you, everybody's bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, and there's truth to that. I got buddies. It's our 30-year anniversary or our 30-year class reunion coming up in a couple weeks.
I know, I've got that next year.
I'll have a couple of my getting their Gaskins, but I'll have a couple of my buddies that will come up. We could beat these guys and we could do that. And my first answer is no, we couldn't. I mean, we might be able to take advantage of some of the skill things, the passing, the fundamentals, setting screens. That's one thing
The
that we did well
YMCA
too.
guys.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not going to be beating these guys laterally or vertically, and kids nowadays are just so much bigger, faster, stronger than even we were back in those days. And to me, there's no argument to that. But skill-wise, I would put our skill development and everything that we did up there with anybody. And we played on some pretty good teams in Aberdeen, too.
What happened? I'm talking boys and girls, whatever. But what happened to that part of the game? Is it not coached as much? Is it because there's I've got my own little theories. I've read a few things. There's a lot of AAU summer ball. They just don't practice much. They just go out and play. It's become more individualized. These are the things I hear or sometimes see. What would be your answer?
Well, I think a lot of it, when I coach, I still think a lot of coaches do that to this day, where you're getting kids in, you're working on the fundamentals, you're working on the gun, shooting machine or whatever. I think back to, Ashley Idy's probably the best player I ever coached. But what she did fundamental-wise to lay cones out and to work on crossovers and to work on individual moves and shooting and all of that, where she went from being a ninth grader to becoming an all-Summit League player and going to 4 NCAA tournaments, that doesn't come by happenstance and going and playing in games all summer long. Yeah. That's getting in the gym, doing the work that nobody likes to do and getting yourself better. So you got to be dedicated to that. I mean, from a team game, the one thing that I just don't see a lot of right now is people setting screens. I mean, just down screens, flare screens. Everybody can set a ball screen. You see that in basketball now. Yeah. Everything's the pick and roll stuff. But what are we doing off the ball? Yeah. And what are we doing making contact and shaping up and sealing and doing some of those things? Yeah. So, and those are things that we thrived on at Washington when I coached. Of course, you're running a high-low offense. You're going to have a post player and doing that. But in the men's game, you just don't see a lot of the true post anymore. In the women's game, which I really appreciate, you see a lot of the post. I appreciate in the sense that you still have post play that's heavily emphasized.
Absolutely. And back to your playing days, you get Aberdeen, St. Olaf. You transferred from St. Olaf to Concordia Moorhead. What made you make that decision?
Loved my time at St. Olaf. Played for a guy named Dan Kosmowski, who just retired. He's a legend up there. Just retired this year, in fact. But the first time I met Coach Kaz, he recruited me, and here's a funny story here. He said, I want you to come work at camp for me, because he was an assistant for Clem Haskins.
Wow, so, former University of Minnesota coach for youngsters.
So this is June of 1996. So he said, Chow, you want to make a little extra money? I'm like, heck yeah. He said, well, I got this. I'm running Clem Haskins camp at St. Thomas University. So went over there in June of 96 and get there, and I'm looking at all my refereeing partners. It was Courtney James, Bobby Jackson.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm trying to think. Trevor Winter was there.
These are
David
guys that
Grimm.
were eventually on the Final Four team, 97.
These were guys that won the Big Ten Conference and were on the Final Four team. So those games at night were interesting, because you had Vashawn Leonard coming back from the league. A couple of the alumni were coming back. Russ Archambault, who's the same age as me, was going to be a freshman. But Quincy Lewis, all those guys were there. So I got humbled pretty quick in those pickup games that night, and I would come off, and Coach Kaz would just be sitting there saying, "Keep working," and all of that, because everybody there was just obviously more talented than I was. But kind of a fun story I like to tell people, and I saw the 1997 Gopher team up front and personal, and
close.
and a lot of Spalding right here on my forehead getting stuffed back in my face, But no, I was there a year, had a great experience. I just decided to change majors at that time, and I knew I wanted to be a teacher and a coach, so I ended up transferring to Concordia, where a couple of my brothers had gone and played for another great coach, Dwayne Severson. He had won a national championship, Division III, with the women before he became a men's coach, and really served as a mentor for me back then, and also directing me into coaching, and still to this day has been a great friend.
What kind of a college player were you at Moorhead?
I was a role player.
Yeah.
To sum that up, playing at St. Olaf my freshman year, and we're playing Augsburg. And Augsburg had a guy named Devin George on their team. And if you follow hoops and you just do a simple Google search on Devin George, he would have started
right now
on the Lakers squad with Shaq and Kobe and all of that.
Remember that name? Yeah.
First Division III player ever drafted in the first round. So I just remember our coach going through, and he's like, "Okay, player A, you're gonna go out there and you need to score 20, you need to get 12 rebounds and all that." And here I am, an 18-year-old freshman, and so player B, you're going to get 10 assists, whatever. He looks at me and he says, "Chow, you got 5 fouls to give." So
that's being a role player.
You're a role player. You learn that pretty quick, and I will tell you, I used all those 5 fouls.
Yeah.
And looked at
Did
my
you make
coach.
them count?
Made them count. Didn't get dunked on by Devin or anything there, but it was. Yeah, you go to that different level and you learn how to pick up a new role and what can I do to fit in. And I wasn't a star player in college by any means. I was a role player, but learned a lot about leadership. I had a couple injuries in college, knee injuries that I had to go through again. So a little bit of adversity and coming in and out. And I was a guy that started some games. I was a guy that didn't start a lot of games, but I think that helped a lot in my coaching, where you can understand the players and their roles and all that, because you get a lot of superstar players who've never had to go through some things like a lineup change. It helped me understand maybe some of those players that do the dirty work and have worked their way up, and learn to appreciate that a lot, because my career wasn't spectacular in college, but I played 4 years. I was an off and on starter and was a part of some fun teams and great teammates and good wins.
But I'm guessing that whole role player stuff played a part in having some Midas touch with some kids, with some players of yours that maybe would have a difficult time accepting those roles, that you would probably have the magic words and tone to make them buy into that.
And that helped in a lot of situations, because I could sit a kid down and say, "Hey, I can relate. I mean, there's frustrations here, but whether it's making a lineup change or a role change, but what can we do moving forward? What can you do to get better?"
Yeah.
And I always said this too, and Fred, I learned this from Fred Tibbetts at Roosevelt, is that when you get into your state tournaments and you get into crunch time and you get into what we call winning time, whether it's you're playing in the night session, you got to have some of those kids who aren't maybe your first team All-State or step up and give you a game. Tibbetts had some of the best advice that I just remember sitting with him, and he would look at our star players and say, "You guys just got to get your average. I mean, go get your 20, go get your 12, do that. But from you guys, maybe who have averaged 3 or 4 points a game, I need a little bit more from you on that." So I learned from the best in the business in Fred. And, I mean, if you look at a kid like Kelsey Connect in 2014, maybe averaged 8 to 10 points a game. She has 24 against Mitchell, and we win it. I mean, just kids who are stepping up their role, and maybe some unsung heroes who get it done during winning time.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like on these shows, like, most people know these names like Fred Tibbetts, but I feel like I'm compelled. There are some people who are new to Sioux Falls, new to the history of sports in South Dakota, maybe a little younger, didn't live through this. So Fred Tibbetts, head coach for Jefferson High School in Jefferson, South Dakota, and Roosevelt for 4 years in the 80s. Also at USD, all women, all girls and women's hoops. 111 straight wins at one point, late 90s. Were you on those staffs?
I was on the last part of it.
Okay.
And
111 straight wins and 5 straight state titles during that time. Yeah.
That record will never be broken.
Yeah.
I know never's a long word, but it's that 111 is going to be tough to top.
What else is a good Fred? I mean, there's a zillion great Fred stories. But all I've been told, incredibly charismatic, right? Grade A BSer as far as just his ability to talk and tell stories. Mm-hmm. But where's one, whether it was just an impressive coaching thing, inspiring, or funny,
Well, first off, I'm just gonna say that Fred is one of the most important mentors that I've had in my life.
Because,
and in this
by the way,
business.
was that your first job at
It was.
high school? After,
it was.
Yeah, okay.
I would not be in the Sioux Falls School District right now if it wasn't for Freddie.
Yeah.
And I got to know him in high school because he helped coach a team that his son Nate was on. Nate White, Nate Tibbetts, Nate White, John Severson, Todd Schleckaway. Was on that team, Shannon Poppinga. There were a few of us that got together, and that was kind of in the early ages of AAU. But Fred was our coach, and thankful that we created that connection, had that played in a few tournaments in the summer, nothing compared to what they do right now.
Yeah.
But when I got out of grad school at SDSU, I was looking for a job, and I just, on a whim, I had inquired about it, and he's on the phone with me the next, within a couple hours saying, Chow, we got to get you down here and get you going on that. So he gave me that opportunity, and what a ride it was. I mean, just being with him and just learning, and I shared an office with him. Him and I were the two male PE teachers at Roosevelt for 4 years. So as my dad would say, keep your ears open and your mouth shut and start learning and doing that. And really the Tibbetts family has been great to me through the years, and no secret with Nate and what he's doing. And I still run into Luke in town here. He was traveling around with us when he was a youngster and everything too, but just what a great opportunity for a young coach to step into. And sometimes people don't think, well, you're coaching freshmen, which I did, and then being an assistant. I was doing double duty, and here I am 22 years old. I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I got to have my own gym. I got to have my own team and learn how to do things, get critiqued by Fred and the other coaches, and then I got to go help him out whenever I wanted to. So what could be better than that? And just living in a gym outside of my teaching time and learning was awesome.
I still got to get a story out of you.
Okay. Story.
A game, a huddle,
okay,
or just a wizardry coaching job.
Yeah.
A funny thingy, whatever.
Okay. Well, I remember going down to Yankton, and we're playing the state tournament in 2005, our last year together there. Freddie had stepped down after that tournament, and I was heading to Washington at that time, but went through the first round. The second round, the semifinals, were playing Yankton, in Yankton, and they were loaded. They had Ketty Cornerman, Andrea Walsh, Iverson. They had a good team. We were undefeated that year too, but we're playing in just one of those games that are just a battle and just a rock fight, as they say, and the game's low points, all of that. So we're down maybe 4 at halftime. Okay, so at Yankton, our benches are on one side. We have to walk across and in front of the Yankton fans. And as we're walking, the whole crowd, with the exception of the Roosevelt crowd, is chanting ESD. ESD, and I can appreciate that. I'm an ESD guy going back to my day, and I know the pride in the conference and all that. Well, we were part of the Greater Dakota Conference at that time, which is now defunct. It was going around for a little bit. So anyways, we get done playing the game. We end up winning in overtime. I had a couple of players foul out, but ended up pulling that thing out and winning in overtime. So we walked by that same crowd, and Fred looks back at Larry Toft and I, and he just kind of smiles, and he grabs the towel and he starts chanting GDC. And I think Larry and I grabbed Coach pretty quick and said, "We better get out of here with that one." But that was memorable, and all of that, and just the pride with the two conferences and the rivalry and all that. Like I said, I can appreciate that being an ESD guy and growing up in that atmosphere, but knowing the rivalry between the Sioux Falls and some of the other schools in the state.
And so, did you have an inclination that you were going to take the Washington job, or had you already taken the Washington job?
Not at that time. I interviewed for it in April of 2005.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But you knew was it already open? Did you know it was open?
It was open.
Okay.
Yep.
And again, we're kind of running a little short on time, but you took the job, and then Fred stepped down, or one or the other. Like, because there's this whole kind of limbo world where you could have conceivably had taken over for him with that. At the time, it was just a golden program, a golden job, plum job. and but you had been committed to Washington, which was at the time, I'll say it for you, kind of down in the dumps and needed a pretty heavy rebuild. So take me to that whole thing where you could have done this, but you did that.
Well, I saw the Washington gig as a challenge. There are a lot of awesome kids, coaches, people that I worked with at Roosevelt, but I always had a little bit of respect, or I always had a lot of respect, I should say, for Washington High School, even before I stepped in the building. And that goes back to the stories that my dad would tell me. He was good friends with John Odney, and obviously Odney's a longtime coach, and I knew a lot about the history and the tradition. And I saw an opportunity there to get back and to start up something. Washington had not been to a state tournament in a few years. They hadn't won a state title since, I believe, 80 or 81, and we had an opportunity to step into something, form a staff, start from ground zero in terms of a foundation and build that thing up. And believe me, we started at ground zero. We went 3-18 the first year. We came within 25 of Roosevelt, and we thought we won the state championship. But was just had so many supportive staff members, administration at Washington, parents. I mean, people who were really, the first couple of years weren't easy, and we had to ruffle some feathers a little bit, but it all ended up paying off. And once we hit year 3, we were rolling. Ruffle feathers as in maybe play younger players. That's usually how it goes. But we played the best players that we had.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
And that didn't. Yeah,
and that's all. I'll just say that players that we put on the court, we decided as a staff were the ones that gave us the best chance to win.
Yeah, and that's what coaches want to do. I think every coach wants to do. Not every coach gets to do that in some places that I have been to along the way. Certain towns and schools, and that's tough. That's probably part of the job that you don't miss is trying to fight those battles.
Yeah, and we had an intermix of older kids, younger kids. I think people when they came into our program, they knew that if they put in the time, they had the skills, they had the talent, they're going to get a shot to get out on the floor. And I had a community and administration that was supportive of that, and we won when we were doing it.
Oh my goodness! Did you ever win?
And that always helps too.
I mean, you went to 4 state finals in 7 years, and your last 7 years, and that started with a 22-3 team that won the state title in 2008, the first of 3 state titles. 2010 and 2014, your last game were the others. And I wish we had more time to get through the Washington years, but I think that's what you're best known for. So I'm glad we got to some of the other things maybe people didn't know about. But how would you, once you guys got rolling? I mean, you're basically turning into Roosevelt, at this point, with a very different personality. From Fred, but the great players. Like, what do you? It's hard to sum it up in 9 years in a few minutes, but
it was.
How did it keep rolling? How did it get rolling? How did it keep rolling?
Well, to credit Fred and Roosevelt, we just took a blueprint of what we were doing over there and brought it over to the east side in terms of the open gyms and getting kids in and putting in the work and getting in the weight room. Playing a tough schedule, anybody, any place, any time. The tougher the competition, the better. And just having that mentality. And when you want to win, you have to have that mentality on goal all the time, because players are smart, kids are smart. I mean, if you have any doubt right there, and sometimes maybe there was doubt. I mean, just with if we could do it or not, you just have to put your best foot forward, and you have to lead, and you have to stress those small things that lead you to getting there in the process. So, we knew it was coming. Well, like you said, by year 3, we're 22-3, and after that, our first 2 years we were 3-18. We were, I think, we won. We were 11 and something. We were sub 500 the second year, but. We hit pay dirt in that third year, and we just didn't. We didn't lose a lot of momentum. We just had a lot of kids that came through the years. We weren't Roosevelt. Nobody's breaking that record and all those titles. But from where we started to what we did, I think our staff and our kids and our parents and our community have a lot to be proud of.
You were usually, not always, but you were usually the team to beat back then, and it was a lot of fun to watch and witness. We got to get back to Washington at 2:15 here. Is that the deal?
Oh, we're good.
So, okay.
Yep.
because you've already mentioned Ashley Eide may have been the best player you've ever coached, and so who are some of the other girls, not just the ones that propelled you there, but were a joy to coach, the ones that make you actually miss coaching, that part of coaching?
I would be just remiss to.
You feel like this is like an Oscar speech. You don't want to leave anybody out. Okay.
I need my card like you have there to mention everybody.
I've got Heidi and Walter, Rachel Walter, and Sadie Strotsberry, and Elise Benson.
Ellie Benson.
Ellie Benson. Sorry, I called her games a long time ago. Sorry.
And some of those kids are probably the bigger names that maybe have come out in terms of Heidi, and then Rachel Walters was a fabulous shooter along with Sadie Stotsberry. Both went on to college careers, and Ellie playing volleyball up at South Dakota State. But there's just so many of them. Each team, one thing I think that we're proud of at Washington is we took 3 teams with 3 different personalities. Our 08 team, and then our 10 team, and then our 14 team all had different players. It wasn't just like it was consecutive or back-to-back-to-back. We had 3 different personalities on those teams, one playing man, one playing zone, one playing 5-out offense, some playing high-low offense, and we figured out a way to do it with those group of kids. And, going back to what I said, too, I could tell stories about some great performances, but some of those kids that took on that role of getting a couple minutes and just accepting that role and being a part of winning basketball is just as important to me as maybe your headliners who are scoring 20 plus. But Ashley Eide was special. We mentioned her. That's probably I will say this, the most talented player that I coached and the hardest worker, and she was the model really for our kids coming up and then the kids following. She actually coached with me, I think, my last year as a volunteer after she got done at SDSU with a great career there. But just somebody, and a lot of our kids modeled that, would come in, work hard at open gym, be a leader, be almost a coach's messenger on the floor, and be able to put that in all aspects of our program.
2014, you knew, and I remember Stu Whitney writing it when he was covering high school sports, the old newspaper, that was not a well-kept secret. That you were probably going to. Kevin Kennedy was retiring, and you might be sliding into that role. So you knew this was going to be your last game. And I wasn't here. I was not living, and so I didn't do that game. But what can you remember about that night, knowing this is it, chance to win the state title, go out on top?
To be honest with you, I didn't think about it too much. You get kind of into the dells of a state tournament, and you're just figuring out how can I win the next game.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget. On the bus ride home, had a little chance to reflect, and there was nothing official announced then. But
did your team even know? So you didn't say anything.
No, it's about the team.
Yeah.
And
sure.
and it's about their mission. Each team takes on their different personality.
Yeah.
It was about the team. In fact, we had a banquet on the Monday after the state tournament. Didn't even mention anything there. At the end of the banquet, I just told them we're going to meet the next morning at 7:30 a.m. and we'll talk then, because be honest with you, we didn't need that attention on what I was doing there. It was about that 14 team getting their goals done and winning that, and then we'll deal with the other stuff later.
What was that meeting like, delivering them the news?
Well, it was tough. Maybe there were some people that were I don't know, but it was tough, especially for those kids maybe that were freshmen and sophomores, and those kids went on to have a lot of success.
Yeah.
Jamie Parrish stepped in and has done a great job with our program, and he won a state championship that first year.
Right away, yeah.
Right away. Yeah. And that was a thrill to see that he took a team a long ways during that year, because it was a transition year. There were some young talented players, but they had to learn and understand their new steps. But we knew that there was a lot left right there too, and Jamie has done a tremendous job of keeping that tradition going.
Sure, and I love working with Jamie. He, like you, just a nicest guy in the world. How was it for you initially, and certainly still to this day, because he's still the coach there, you're still the activities director, but how did that work with he's taking over basically a dynasty and a legend? I know you probably hate that word. big shoes to fill, and he was able to, again, just take that team right away and win the state title. But how did that work with you offering your advice, him asking his advice? Were you cognizant or worried about, being that guy in that role and being too overbearing? Knowing your personality, I'm guessing it wasn't an issue.
No, and it's kind of similar to what I talk to all my coaches or directors or whoever it may be about. I'm not here to talk X's and O's with you. If you want to talk about some things with, team questions about dealing with certain situations, I'm going to be here to help you out with that. And that was, a little bit of a start for that. I would walk in to a practice just on my regular duties, but a goal of mine was to make sure that Jamie had his space to build what he wanted to build and everything too. And over the last couple of years, so he gets me in there a little bit more.
Okay.
And has had me, for better or for worse. If a kid needs a pep talk or talking to the team before the state tournament, it's awesome to do that, and that he gives me that opportunity to do that. But it's his team and it's his program, and that's from day one. I wanted to make sure that was respected for him and for those kids, because as I said, every team takes on a different personality, and each year is different. And I wanted to make sure that he was leading that charge.
He's won 3 or 4, right? I feel terrible for not looking this up.
It's at least 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yep. You probably know this, but we were talking earlier about you were a role player. You talked about playing the best players when you were a coach, which would ruffle feathers. Mm-hmm. But he has one of my favorite lines or philosophies I've ever heard, which is get the ball to the good girl, the good player. And it's kind of like, for one, a lot of teams have more than one good player, but you know what he's talking about. Hey, when things aren't going very well, you need to get back to square one or whatever. You need a bucket. Just hey, let's. And he's talking about his designing plays, but also instructing his players, get her Yep. Let's utilize that as much as we can.
That's a parish line right there. Get the ball to the good girl and guard the good girl. And it
makes it sound so simple.
It does, but it makes sense there too. Yeah. Sometimes, and I was guilty of this as much as anybody, that as a coach I would overanalyze some things. But when it comes down to it, it's a simple game of fundamentals. Get some good schemes in there, and make sure your players play harder than anybody else. Brian Hermanson and I used to sit around all the time and just compare. We team taught and we coached, but we would quiz each other on, did our team play hard that night? Did we play hard or didn't we play hard? And we'd watch each other's teams and ask about that. And that was such an important factor there, too. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't play hard and you're taking home movies and not doing anything, you're not going to be as successful. And that just comes with that mentality to instill each day in practice and get that going. And along with keeping the game simple, as you said, that Jamie can break it down with the best of them.
You dropped the name of another guy who's won 3 state titles at Washington. That was Brian Hermanson back in the mid to late 2000s. And then Chad Statham replaced him, and he won 3 or 4 state titles at Washington. You've gotten to work around, and Jim Trett, the boys basketball coach. We're just covering football and basketball here, but the guys you get to work around, that had to be pretty awesome.
Awesome, and just a family atmosphere, and this even goes back to Roosevelt and then Washington, and just having peers who are going through the same thing that you may go through, the highs and the lows, and bouncing ideas. And it didn't have to be somebody necessarily in the same sport, but I might learn something from another coach of a different sport or somebody in the fine arts. I'm still picking up stuff from our great coaches, regardless of discipline, on what they do to get kids to be successul.
What is, to you, special and unique being at a place like Washington? And you've now been there for 21 years. It is a unique school in this district and in this state. What's it like day in, day out for you?
Well, each day, there's never 2 days that are the same. And I've been at this great place at Washington since 2005, and like you said, I haven't left. I've loved every minute of it and the different roles, but what I enjoy the most is the type of kid that we serve each and every day and who we meet and who we're able to give opportunities to. And we have kids from all different backgrounds. I mean, a lot of diversity, a lot of socioeconomic differences, or just kids from all different backgrounds. But at the end of the day, we come together as warriors. And we live by our circle of courage. There's not 5 different mission statements at Washington. It's that belonging, mastery, generosity, and independence. You see it all over the place, and nobody is perfect, but we have a great staff that steps up every day and ready to carry that on with our kids. And we just the community out here is special. The East Side is special, and it just we are a big school, but we still have a lot of those small town aspects in there. And if you look at our activity leaders, a lot of them have small town backgrounds, so they bring that into a bigger school. Not everybody, but a lot of them do, and they bring that into a school like Washington. I
mean, think for a guy who grew up in a place like Aberdeen, kind of a little more rurally, a town of 25,000. So we're not talking about the sticks there, but still. 25,000, predominantly white, and then you come and you've been at Washington, a place that is probably the most diverse school in the state, and in the city it has probably easily the highest population of kids that come here from other countries. Yep. I would imagine you're in education, you're learning as much about the world by being at Washington as anybody else in this town or state probably does.
No question. This is our community, and this is who we are, and we have people from different backgrounds and all over the place, and I appreciate that. I mean, you talk about Aberdeen, but I learned that from my dad. I mean, in retail at the furniture store
we didn't get to the furniture store. Glad you brought that up.
All those years, but he modeled it for our family because he would have customers of all kinds of backgrounds come in, and he'd meet them where they're at. It might be somebody who's coming in to buy thousands of dollars worth of furniture. It might be somebody who's coming in to spend under $100 because they're having a tough time affording that. He treated everybody the same, and he treated everybody with respect and modeled that. I can't believe the parallels in education and coaching that I take back to, just watching my dad and how he operated.
Yeah. Does it sometimes hurt your heart when you see this day and age some attacks on groups of minorities, people from other nations that come here or other places? That just seems to be more prevalent out there in our universe. Does that hurt your heart knowing what you actually know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be a part of a place that where kids can come in, and we serve just a wide population of our community. Yeah. It's something, and like I said, I've been doing it for 21 years, and I haven't left because I appreciate Washington High School. I appreciate the mission that our staff provides to kids, and lifting kids up each and every day.
I got 2 more. Cordell's going to put me on the spot. He's used to this when we get down to the end, and I still want to keep going. And one is I'm forgetting, so I lost that one. So 2 is I got to hear. We skipped over your quick stint at South Dakota State. You're between the end of your college time and getting started as a teacher coach here in Sioux Falls at Roosevelt. There was a year as a grad assistant, Scott Nagy. So that had to be an interesting experience that could may have shaped some of the things you eventually did.
Well, he's probably the best. Coach Nagy's intense. I learned that the first day. I'm going in. I got a year, and I'm thinking, okay, we got a couple of 7-footers that are coming in. Maybe he'll put me with them and working with the post. First thing Nagy had me do was to sweep the floors and to lower the baskets, and I did that all throughout He told me to do that, and I would go in, I'd do that, kind of get focused on what I needed to do for practice. And not many people know this, but I did that up until 2014 when I was done. I'd lower the baskets, I'd sweep the floors, and that was kind of my way to get get rolling with practice. But no, great opportunity. And we had a group of coaches there. Matt Margenthaler was in his last year as an assistant before he went to Mankato, where he's still at. Mike Schott
won a national title 2 years ago. Yeah.
Margie, his assistant now is Mike Schott, who's a GA on that team as well. And then Brian Norberg, a good friend of mine from Watertown, was the other one. So, and then we had a young Aaron Johnston over in his first year on the women's side. I think he was 25 his first year as the women's coach. So just a great opportunity to get in there and learn. Nagy was probably the best coach that I've been around who emphasized rebounding. I mean, I'm a huge Tom Izzo fan, but I've never had a chance to work with Izzo. Yeah. But Nagy's rebounding drills were off the charts, and something that he emphasized. He always said, I can tell how hard a team's working by looking at their offensive rebounding. And I was the young pup that got to chart that. That was my job on the bench. So I better have some good offensive rebounding marks right there. But yeah, he was excellent. Didn't ran a lot of motion offense, screening, teaching players how to play. That was a clinic coming out of college.
I bet it was. And Aaron Johnston, like you, I don't remember if he said he expected to get into women's coaching or if it just happened, because he started as a GA on the men's side. You weren't expecting to ever coach girls basketball. What turned the corner, and how would you describe the fact that you did?
Well, I'll just give you a little story here. Fred Tibbetts I needed a job, so I came down here. I was gonna finish up. I was gonna substitute teach at Roosevelt, and then I was gonna be the 9th grade coach and help out with Freddie. And Larry Toft was there too at that time, and I mean Denise Klein, some great people that I was able to.
And Larry
work
eventually
with.
went with you over to Washington.
And led Toft and Schleck and Brett Schleck away. Just great assistants. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention those guys. But anyways. Took the job at Roosevelt, and I went into an open gym, and there's 60 to 70 girls that are running around. They're unheard of. I mean, Freddie's got them all playing, and he looked at me and he said, "Chai, I want you to jump in there. We need somebody to guard this gal right here." Well, it was Lindsey Thomas, who's probably the best post, who's been through our, in my opinion, played at Colorado State and multi-time All-Stater. Well, I get in there for the game, and I'm going into guard right there, and I don't know really what to do or whatever right there. She comes in, ball gets inbounded, and just boom. I mean, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this girl can play. And those girls at Roosevelt played such a fun style of basketball, and that's really what got me hooked. I knew that once I started working with Fred and the Roosevelt program, that's what I was going to do.
Okay, and you never looked back. Okay,
Nope.
The other one I came back to me.
Yep.
Your podcast, State of Hoops. You're doing what I do. You're just talking to a lot of legends, well-known names, people who are still into it and around. It's a basketball podcast of South Dakotans.
Yeah, and just kind of a love letter to South Dakota basketball, high school in particular. Todd Schleckaway, who's been one of my longtime best friends. Him and I grew up. Him and Mobridge, me and Aberdeen, kind of the small town aspect, going to Northern games, having an appreciation for those old stories. We ended up playing AAU basketball on the team that I mentioned, and then Todd has become just a lifelong friend. We've been in each other's weddings, have shared a lot of stories through the years. We just wrapped up coaching our boys, who are freshmen now, for 5 years, and the time we got to spend together, the stories that we talked about, it just kind of came up one time. Well, we should start a podcast and tell a little bit more of our side of the stories and maybe what we experienced, maybe what some people don't know, specifically in the 70s, 80s, 90s that we've gone through. So we're one season in. We're about, I think we're 20-some episodes in, and we're just telling the history, and hopefully people can appreciate some of that and get our perspective on it as well. But we've had a lot of great guests, and really the purpose of that show is to showcase the love for South Dakota basketball, the community that it connects people with. I mean, everybody's 2-3 shades away in South Dakota basketball from knowing. So probably closer than that.
They're all 2 or 3 shades away from Mike Henriksen. We all know that.
We know Mike, and he would give some great stories. But no, it's been fun to. Probably the best part is just being able to reconnect people together, and we get a lot of good feedback on that. On it's getting people maybe who haven't talked to each other in a while come back and tell the stories. Of course, they're better 20 years later than they were back then, too.
Of course. That's how it all goes.
Always.
But that's partly what I love about doing this and talking to people like you, and so I encourage people. Todd's a great guy. I got the chance to do a few state tournament games with him here on Midwest Sports Plus in Rapid City, and I really enjoyed the time with them. So you guys are the two perfect guys to be kind of curators of history and keep the conversation going. So,
and we just hope to keep those stories going. We had our last episode was on the history of Armor basketball, and we had Burnell Glanzer, we had one of the Tiefenthaler, Pat Tiefenthaler, one of the Tiefenthaler brothers, Austin Ledebor, and then we had Dana Nielsen, Dana Honor now. So 4 of the legends there, and they were going to their all-school reunion last week. so made sure to time that right. But whether it's small school, big school, college, we didn't talk much professional ball, but just to showcase our history here in South Dakota.
Well, good luck with keeping that going. State of Hoops podcast, and that's wherever people can find their podcasts.
Wherever people can find their podcasts.
That's what I tell people about this as well. And Sioux Falls Live. I would tell most people, hey, look, if you can handle over an hour with me, you can handle anything, but you've beaten cancer. So this was a blast for me and a breeze. I really appreciate you taking an hour on a summer's day away from your job to do this.
No, thanks. And John, I've always appreciated our friendship through the years and your support of what we do in terms of highlighting youth and broadcasting and getting to a lot of events. Always fun to listen to, and I love listening to your podcast here. I've taken in a few of those, so encourage everybody who's maybe listening to this to check out some things in the archive, because a lot of good stories to be told. But thank you for having me on.
There are. Nate Malchow, appreciate his time, for video producer Cordell Wright and Dirty Dan and the Gibbs Sports Bar and Grill here on the east side. I'm glad we did it I figured you would want to do it here at Gibbs. Maybe you were working and you wanted to be in the
east side.
You wanted to be in the neighborhood. So we're glad we did it on the east side today. It's a great place on the east side for you to come watch your sports. The food is fantastic over here as well. Happy hour and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.